Okay guys, so in today's video, we're going to talk about a player that plays for the Philadelphia Flyers that could potentially be an unrestricted free agent right after this season. Or maybe even a trade target before the season ends. You know, if things go south down there. A guy that I think if there was a way Marc Bergevin could drag his gritty looking ass onto this Habs team, Montreal would be in a better position with him than what they were with Feldinand. The guy I'm talking about here is Sean Couturier. Now hear me out, okay? We're going to talk about this hypothetically. You got it? I'm not saying it's a rumor. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But what I am saying is I wish Montreal could make it happen because it would solve a lot of problems down the middle that may potentially arise this season. But first, before we begin, if you guys are a fan of the Habs or you've wiped your ass with a pair of socks before, then please consider subscribing to my channel as I upload a ton of hockey content and would really enjoy having some more of you grasshoppers tag along for the ride. Now, why does Sean Couturier make sense for the Habs? Let me explain. Sean Couturier is a bigger, more violent, and more skilled version of Feldinand. Okay? I'm sorry, Feldinand fans, but that's how I feel. Couturier is another Selke-style player, but he can also score 30 goals. And, get this, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty once in a while and mix things up, huh? Plus, I mean, look at that smile. That's hockey right there, boys. That is hockey. That's the kind of smile that you want to build your team around. Huh? It's always the guys that look like they work at your local potato farm down the road that end up being the best hockey players. The best all-around hockey players, anyway. This is a guy that could step into the Habs lineup right now and play as the first-line center or the second-line center. He could play wherever you want him. He's the guy. Anyway, from what I've been hearing, he's projected to start as the Flyers' first-line center heading into the season. And bringing up his stats here, you can see he's got some pretty good numbers. And look at that. Like I mentioned earlier, he's got a couple of 30-goal seasons under his belt. And he's still only 28 years young. About to enter the prime of his career. And with this year being a contract year, there ain't no better time than right now to swoop in and rob the cradle in Philadelphia. Now I know what you're thinking. It sounds good, but what are the odds that Philly lets him slip away? And if you want to put it that way, it's kind of funny because just a year ago, we all thought the same thing about a guy named Philip Deneau. Not many imagined Phil Deneau playing anywhere else and that Bergevin would get him signed. But we all know how that cookie crumbled now, don't we? Back to Sean Couturier. He's making $4.3 million this season. And that's when he becomes an unrestricted free agent, right after this year. Which means, guess what? Dun, dun, dun! He's gonna want to make some bank. And if you're a Flyers fan, you're thinking there ain't no way in hell he's gonna hit that open market. But let me tell you, if the Flyers find themselves somehow not in a playoff position by the trade deadline, and they're considering, doing a few backflips, and if Sean Couturier doesn't have a contract worked out by then, or he's been offered a couple of deals and he steps sideways, then who knows what's going to happen? Shit could hit the fan down there. And the Flyers are not going to want to lose this guy for nothing. So if they feel threatened in any way that they're going to have trouble working out a deal, then maybe this is when he could draw some trade interests. A lot of maybes, but it's possible. And I do think it's more likely that Claude Giroux is going to be the odd guy shipped out of town if push come to shove. But I mean, Claude Giroux is older than balls. That ship has sailed. It's gone. Forget about him. Let's talk about the 28-year-old here. Jeez. And besides, it all depends on what's happening down there behind the scenes. Because these guys, they've already got a stupid contract on their hands. You know who I'm talking about? They've got a contract over there, a recently signed one that in my opinion is like drinking milk with lobster. Okay? It doesn't make sense. Take a look at none other than Kevin Hayes. Because if I'm Couturier's agent and I'm looking at that Flyer lineup, I'm looking at a guy like Hayes, and if this guy is worth over $7 million long-term to the Philadelphia Flyers, then what is Couturier worth? Huh? It's contracts like that Hayes contract that just, it screws shit up. That is one ugly looking contract. Yeah. So anyway, my question to you guys is, what do you think of Sean Couturier? Would this be a guy that you would be very interested in if he became available at the next trade deadline? And if not, that's fine, okay? Don't panic, because this ain't a rumor. This is just a drill. But yeah, for those of you crazy listeners out there that will be willing to make a trade for Couturier, what would you offer? Huh? He wouldn't be cheap. Would you be willing to part ways with Don't Trade Me Niemi plus some more for Couturier? Let me know what you think. And I mean, keep in mind, Montreal does have a surplus of wingers right now, so you'd at least have to grab one of these guys by the back of the neck and just throw him into the equation, right? And if Sean Couturier is not your cup of tea, and you've got another crazy idea, another hypothetical trade idea that you'd like to throw out here, then go ahead, let me know in the comments section. And who knows, maybe I'll make a future video on your trade. Anyway, that does it for this video, and I'll see you next time.